The Dalvin Cook rumors are getting spicy, juicy, sexy to the New York Jets. We talk all about it right here on this beautiful live stream. Let's get this party started, baby. Woo! Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans. Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show. Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Little douche. What's up, everybody? Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jet digital reporter for Heavy.com, and we got some sexy stuff to get into. We'll immediately roll into it. I will just say we're streaming live in 3 different places. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 30,000 New York Jet fans. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, baby. And, of course, on Twitter as well, at BoyGreen25. Make sure you guys are following, liking the video, and hitting subscribe. But let's get into the latest. This from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. If you haven't seen it, we also have the full article down below in our YouTube description if you guys would like to check it out as we're going through this program. But Mike Florio spilled some interesting tea on the New York Jets and Dalvin Cook. Let's roll the gosh darn footage, baby. I tweeted it out. It's going crazy. Dalvin Cook hit the retweet button. Let's roll in. Here's the footage. Here's the latest from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk and NBC Sports.
The Jets have been gaining momentum as we get closer and closer to camp. And the Jets are a team that I was aware of as a potential destination for Cook weeks before he was actually cut. The Breece Hall angle is why they'd be interested in Cook. We don't know how healthy Breece Hall will be. We don't know if he'll be ready week 1. They've said all the right things, but we don't know. We just don't know. It's a lot of eggs to put in one basket. What do they have behind Breece Hall with all the investment that they're making in Aaron Rodgers? And if you could get Dalvin Cook for a reasonable contract and pair him with Rodgers and that passing game and that defense that is very good, that helps the Jets stand out in the AFC East, a very difficult division. And if the Dolphins are the other destination for Cook, there's a net benefit beyond just getting Cook. You're getting Cook if you're the Jets, and you're keeping him from the Miami Dolphins.
A compelling case made right there by Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. So here it is. The Jets are gaining momentum, poised, on the verge. I mean, this thing is spicy. This thing is getting juicy, people. And there's just been a lot of rumors. There's been Dalvin Cook, of course, flirting with it. That clip I just played, Dalvin Cook hit the old retweet button on that. Interesting. He keeps playing. Of course, he's following Woody Johnson. They're trading some barbs. Another interesting one. This one's more kind of speculative, spicy gossip news. But Woody Johnson sent out a tweet. You never know who could show up to camp. And he was showing some of the Jets legends and other things that have kind of popped up throughout history. And Dalvin Cook liked the tweet, and it just made me say, who knows who could show up to camp like Dalvin Cook, perhaps? I don't know, but it's kind of sexy, kind of interesting. It really is fascinating. Here's another thing. I want to throw this out here before we dive into the comments and the fans, and I'll share, of course, what I believe. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, he sent this out, which I found fascinating, on this new social media app called Threads. I'm not jumping on it, folks. I'm a Twitter guy. I will die on the Twitter ship. But some of you have jumped over on this new social media app, Threads. Albert Breer said this, quote, I think there's a good chance Cook becomes a Jet, and my sense is it's a team he'd like to go to. He makes sense for them, too. Getting him would allow them to be judicious in bringing Breece Hall back, end quote. Again, full details in the article down below. Let's get into it. I think I've made it abundantly clear. Personally, I'm all in on getting Dalvin Cook. And it's for a few simple reasons. Perhaps number one is the recovery timeline of Breece Gosh darn Hall. Of course, as a Jets fan, I am a self-proclaimed biggest Jets fan in the world, most optimistic, certainly. But as I want Breece Hall to be healthy, and I want to say that as a guy who's also recovering from an ACL. I'll give you some of those random updates later. But the thing is that the Jets are saying the right things. They're saying he's going to be back. Okay, they're saying it. Robert Saleh, hey, could be ready for Week 1. Buffalo Bills Monday Night Football. Is he though? And even if he is, how many snaps are we talking about here? 5, 10, 15? I don't know. And if you're doing that, do you trust Michael Carter? Do you trust Zonovan Knight? Do you trust Izzy? Which, by the way, we'll drop it a little bit during this show. There's a new Izzy nugget that kind of gets me excited. We'll also have a full column about it tomorrow. Speaking of columns, let's go to my buddy, the Buffalo Jet fan. There better be juicy details in the full article down below, or I swear. I love the super chat. Thank you. Which is a healthy reminder, everybody, if you'd like to contribute to the show, the free way is, of course, by liking the video, hitting subscribe. Helps the YouTube overlord say, hey, we like this. Let's push it. And, of course, super chats. Throw your money around, baby, and we'll give you a big shout out here on the show. The Buffalo Jet fan, 10,000 plus subscribers. Need I say more? And we also had a joint show together. There was a live at the radio station. We did this cool fantasy draft concept. You guys are going to love the one coming up on Wednesday as well. Another fantasy concept, another afternoon live stream coming up. Keep an eye out for that. Some fun topics. I'm looking forward to that. The Buffalo Jet fan gracing us with his presence. So to me, I think the Jets, of course, Dalvin Cook, a chance to win a championship. So the ring chasing is certainly there. You love to see that, number one. And then number two, he could get a lot of the carries. If you bring in a guy like Dalvin Cook, you can be, as Albert Breer suggested, very judicious with bringing Breece Hall back, which I hope they are anyway, because, again, you're not winning the Super Bowl in September. But with the tough start to the season, you definitely want a guy that strikes fear into opposing defenses. Dalvin Cook, he does that. Michael Carter? Nah. Zonovan Knight? For the majority of the season, he was on the practice squad. Anyone could have stolen him. No one did. Why? I'm Brian Windhorst with the waving fingers. Why? Why is that? Why? Because he's not at that level. He's a nice player. A nice player. He's not Dalvin Cook. Michael Carter ain't Dalvin Cook. Izzy Abanikanda is not Dalvin Cook. I think they need it. I think they need a guy like Dalvin Cook. I think he's going to bring it to the channel. So I'd love to see it. I'd absolutely love to see Dalvin Cook on this team. And Dalvin Cook apparently is open to the Jets. So we will see how this continues to develop. For me, I think they need another guy. Now, we could argue on the guy, potentially. We could argue Kareem Hunt, Zeke, Leonard Fournette, somebody. But the fact of the matter is Michael Carter proved he can't carry the load. Don't believe me? Believe the Jets. If they believed he could carry the load, would they have traded for James Robinson? No, they wouldn't have. No, they wouldn't have. So they wouldn't have done that. Izzy was a day 3 pick, people. Even the most optimistic Jet fan in the world, me. Is he just going to be a superstar? Maybe. Unlikely. So you go through and then Zonovan. Again, a guy who is available to the rest of the league. If he was as great as we all say he is, again, I saw Michael Nanny had him like 19th best on the roster. That's a healthy projection. Everyone in the league ignored him. Now, I'm not saying guys can't slip through the cracks. Tony Romo was an undrafted free agent. John Randall, Pro Football Hall of Famer, was an undrafted free agent. There are many paths to the NFL. Many paths. But I think that's a fair point to make on all this business. Dalvin Cook, if you're the Jets, and I'll keep beating this horse for a little bit, we'll answer some comments and questions and other things in the channel. If you're the Jets and you're all in, and you want to be overflowing at all positions if you can, why wouldn't you? You should be challenging yourself to be incrementally better everywhere. At running back, you could get better. That's my point. You can get better. And if you could get better, why not get the best available? There's no denying that Dalvin Cook is the best talent on the board. Now, it's going to cost you, okay? He will not be the same price as Kareem Hunt. He will not be the same price as Zeke. He will not be the same price as Leonard Fournette, obviously. but you get what you pay for. I think there is value in a Kareem Hunt, which is a guy I've advocated for throughout this offseason. But Dalvin Cook is better. He has better production. He's been one of the most productive running backs in football. Who wouldn't want him? I just think there are too many Jet fans out there that believe the Jets are set, the Jets are loaded in the backfield. I don't want to find out I'm right in the middle of the season. Why don't you just trust me and let's go get improvements and upgrades to running back position right now? Why not? Why not do it right now? Why week 2? Holy crap, Michael Carter isn't good enough. Well, whoops. Let's try to scramble and get a guy to learn the offense real quick. I think that's just not the right way to do it. You should hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Or hope for the best and expect the worst, so you're prepared for all scenarios. That's what I would say. All right, guys, let's go through your comments. Drop questions. We could talk beyond Dalvin Cook if you'd like here. I love doing these live streams where we kind of go all over the place, so feel free. Let's say hello to a bunch of people. Aaron, yo, what's up, boy? Green is there. Chris, my body is ready. My mind is telling me no, but my body telling me yes, perhaps. I like it, Aaron. Very nice. Very nice. Jimmy said, wow, what's happening? Quit playing games with my hot old Hawk out there. Yeah, he has been flirting, obviously, and hopefully that's clear. Dalvin Cook has not only been flirting with the Jets, he's been flirting with the Dolphins predominantly, some New England Patriot stuff here and there. So I don't know if this social media activity means blee, blah, or blue, but I think it's worth noting, worth bringing up. He retweeted that Jets momentum. Interesting. Fascinating. If it wasn't true, why would he retweet it? I don't know. Kind of interesting. But yeah, he does seem to be playing a few games here and there. Boogie. Boogie. Sure, we're going to be a beast. I'll be honest. I've been a late addition to the Jamie and Sherwood bandwagon. I don't want to say against him, but I've been he played 25 snaps. He's barely played in his first 2 years. I really, it's hard to have a strong opinion on him outside of major projection. But I will tell you, I did a little bit on the Buffalo show that we had on Wednesday. I did my own video. It was like 10 minutes or something, diving into some of the numbers and things of that nature. Yeah, I hope he is. The Jets believe he's going to be. He'd be that third starter at linebacker. Or more importantly than that, in my opinion, is the insurance at the second level of the defense. I like C.J. Mosley, and I'm really high on Quinnen Williams. But if any one of those guys gets hurt, then we're diving into the Zaire Barnes bucket, Chaz Surratt bucket, Hamza Nasir bucket, and that's where we're getting a little funky, in my opinion. So maybe if Jamian is that guy that could be there, there's a good chance there for him to have some opportunities. He has the path, but it's up to him to seize it. We'll see if that happens. I've heard a few people bring this up, and I can't kill it completely, obviously, because there's been moments where it's happened in the past where a free agent, mostly free agent situations, they include the Jets in the conversation to drive up the price and ultimately go where they want to go. The prime example is Kirk Cousins, who in his own documentary revealed the dirty details that he only kept flirting with the Jets to up the Vikings offer, which they ended up doing, 3 years, $90 million fully guaranteed. And he had no intention of going to the Jets. And that hurts, BC. That hurts Jet fans that have been burned before and go to weekly meetings to discuss it with other fellow, Burn fans. Hey, everybody, my name's Paul. I'm a Burn Jets fan. Hey, Paul. You know that? And then, well, let me tell you this story about Kirk Cousins. I'm sure those conversations are happening across the country right now in this moment. But at the end of the day, you can't let the past burn you for the future. Just because it happened in the past doesn't mean every future one is going to hurt. Just because a old girlfriend burns you doesn't mean every future girl is out to get you. You know what I mean? So while there's a chance that's possible, maybe. And Mike Florio also kind of shared in some of his video reporting that maybe there's going to be a realization from Dalvin Cook that the money isn't going to get crazy better, regardless if there's an injury. And this is kind of the best of the best. So pick whatever you believe is the best. So we'll see. Obviously, injuries can always change things. They can always change things, which will, kind of change some of the dynamics, obviously. If a major injury happens to the right team and they can move some stuff around, but, there ain't no Jesus turning water into wine happening here. The money is the money at this point. And that'll be interesting to watch. But, yeah, Dalvin Cook, it is heating up. Let's see. Dark Soldier, crew in the building. Love it. If there's a guy, Cook is the guy. I like Cook. Let Rodgers cook. I see what you did there. That's what I'll be saying if Cook sides with us. I'm all about it. I love it. That's beautiful. And again, you have Aaron Rodgers, so why not do everything in your power to improve everything? That's been basically my take on it. Let's see. Don coming in here on the Facebook page. While I would like Cook on our roster, it would have to be for the right amount. There are other positions we need more depth at than running back. I would argue what? I think running back's pretty important. Now, people can perceive it in different ways. Me personally, I think running back depth is a major question mark. Every guy on the team right now has a question mark. Let's go through them. You have 4. Breece Hall's coming off a torn ACL. The analytics say he's not going to be the same guy, certainly at the beginning of the season, and maybe all year. So Breece Hall, there's a question. Number 2, Michael Carter, 3.5 yards per carry. Stone hands. I mean, there's a lot not to like about Michael Carter, and maybe you point to the offensive line, but I don't think that's a fair enough lazy excuse to just say, oh, that's why he struggled. Good running backs kind of figure it out. So Michael Carter, strained sophomore slump. And the rookie year wasn't like he was Adrian Peterson. There were some flashes, certainly, but he just doesn't have game-changing speed. If you're a smaller back, as Michael Carter is, you have to have something that separates you from the pack. He doesn't run away from people. He's small, inconsistent hands, and the yards per carry sucks. I don't know what you want from me, people. I can't just see everything and say everything's positive, hunky-dory. We got to call it how we see it. Zonovan Knight, okay, fizzled at the end of the year. He had the pop against the Bears, but Don, you and my grandmother would have had pop against the Chicago Bears. They folded like a used lawn chair, for Pete's sake. So Zonovan doing that and then just disappearing, I don't see that and say, wow, we can't wait to see more Zonovan Knight. Who knows if he even makes the team, quite frankly. He made the team initially last year, and then he was cut and hanging out on the practice squad. And then you have Israel Abanikanda, who, again, there's been some rising buzz on him from my perspective, and we could talk about that a little bit later in the show. But even still, he's a day 3 pick. Every one of those guys I mentioned has a question mark. You need a guy that brings a floor to the table, someone that can hold down the fort if we all agree that there is a chance, a non-zero chance, that Breece Hall is somewhat compromised at the beginning of the season. If we have that honesty with ourselves, you will all see that we need another running back. Now, I'm not saying it has to be Dalvin Cook. I'd like him because he's the best available. And I'm not saying pay him any price. The Vikings cut him because they didn't want to pay him $11-some-odd million. I don't know if any NFL team right now wants to pay him $11-some-odd million. So to me, I'm willing to go probably higher than some Jet fans, apparently. I'm willing to go 6, 7, 8 mil. Built in some incentives in there. That's where I'm willing to go. Because I think he could be that kind of a game changer for this team. He can hold down the fort till Breece Hall gets back. And then when Breece Hall gets back, you have 2 dynamic backs. You have a first world problem at running back. You can keep them both healthy, extend the shelf life of both players for this season and beyond. To me, it makes a lot of sense. If you're trying to win a chip, then you push all of the chips into the middle of the table and you do what you got to do to make some things happen. So you say we need depth at other positions. What other positions? Linebacker, maybe. You could squint for a safety. But, I mean, what else are we talking about here on this team where you say, whoa, they need more of that? This roster is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good. We're kind of nitpicking here. It's pretty good. I think running back's a little higher on that, personally. Go back to Don here. I agree with you. I just don't want to see us blow the rest of our salary cap when we lose a key lineman or other key position due to injury later. Yeah, injuries are going to happen. I can't predict or project all injuries. And this Dalvin Cook thing wouldn't be blowing all our salary cap. It would be blowing a chunk. You still have to sign Quinnen. You still have the Aaron Rodgers restructure, and they got to leave a little bit of money for that break the glass in which you're talking about. But let's be honest. Any injury that, let's say offensive line, right? Let's say that happens again. What offensive lineman is riding through the door, the knight in shining armor, and saving the day for Dwayne Brown, 2 years, $20 million? I don't see it. I don't see it, to be honest. I don't see that crazy money happening, but I understand. I understand the point. Let Breece Hall heal completely. Johnny, You nailed it, pal. You absolutely nailed it. Do not rush him back. I will be the most angry, upset Jets fan if they bring back Breece Hall week 1 and he gets hurt week 1, week 2. Ah, man, came back too early. That's going to be infuriating. And it will once again get thrown at that Jets medical staff if that indeed happens. So let him heal and do it. Paul Molina here. I'm with you, brother. Everything you said, it just makes sense. Let's get it done. Yes, more people need to agree with me, Paul. I don't know why we don't get it. Tony Alexio. We want Kareem Hunt for a bargain like Quan. That'd be great. That'd be great. I'm leaning more towards Quan isn't happening, but obviously Quan signed last year officially on August 2nd. So obviously we still have less than a month. It's about a month, give or take, that he signed last year. So I could see that happening again on the dirt cheap, but I'm leaning more towards they're going to ride it out with Jamie and Sherwood. In terms of Kareem Hunt, I'd love Kareem Hunt. I think he's the best. If you're looking for a value, not necessarily the best player available, but if you're looking for a value, Kareem Hunt provides it, man. He led the league in rushing back in 2017. I know it's 2023. He's still a young guy. He doesn't have the same tread on the tires that other running backs have because he's been in this committee forever, especially with the Browns with Nick Chubb, who's a friggin' beast. So he hasn't gotten the same wear and tear that other running backs have. He's a good pass blocker. He could catch the ball to the backfield, could run the ball, gives you a little bit of everything. And then obviously you could probably get him on a 1-year cheap deal, prove it year for him, and then he dips back into free agency next year, still young. So I could see that. So I'm all right with that, Tony. That I would not be mad at. But I think we need somebody. Ronald, are the Jets okay at safety? It's actually a really good question, Ronald, because remember, initially when Adrian Amos was signed by the Jets, we all said, wow. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now you got 3 starting caliber safeties and Adrian Amos, Jordan Whitehead, and Chuck Clark. This is great. We did a video about it. I even had Zach Rosenblatt, who ended up breaking the story a few hours later that Chuck Clark was actually hurt. We had him on the show. He's like, yeah, 3 starters. And we're talking about, maybe like Chuck Clark kind of hang around the box, be that third linebacker. He's like, oh, man, great idea, Paul. And we're kind of hemming and hawing, going back and forth. Then we find out Chuck Clark's out for the year. Ultimately, he was seriously injured, and then we eventually found out he was out for the year. So they got 2 starters who are, I wouldn't call it a strength of the team. I wouldn't say necessarily like it's the worst safety group in the NFL. I'd have to look, I guess, go through the grouping. They're all right at safety. Are the Jets okay at safety? Okay, yes. I would say they're okay. Would I personally like a third guy like a John Johnson? That has been floated out there as a possibility. A guy with a veteran floor? Sure. But the Jets love Ashton Davis. I know the fans don't, but the Jets love Ashton Davis. He's a guy. You got some of the youngsters, Waters, Trey Dean, obviously Tony Adams from last year. So you got some youngsters they kind of like on top of the guys. So I think they're okay at safety. They're okay. And that's okay because, like, in all honesty, is a weakness at safety, if we want to call it, that to the greater NFL, is that going to prevent the Jets from winning a championship? Probably not. I don't think that's, if they don't win it, I don't think that was the reason why. I would come back and say, oh, that was it for sure. I don't think so. But I think they are okay. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Oh, yes. Allison jumping in here. Thanks for the comment, Allison. Each team should be able to have 4 quarterbacks in case one goes down injured. I wrote a column about this recently in case you guys missed it. The NFL did make a rule change, which will likely ensure the Jets are having 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster because of what happened in the San Francisco game, which means to me it's Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, and Tim Boyle. And then you have Streveler as the 4. And if any one of the guys gets injured ahead, Streveler probably moves up in the pecking order, and then they replace a guy with like maybe a Teddy Bridgewater or Nick Foles on the practice squad. So I do not see 4, but I'm pretty locked on 3. And I think that's going to happen because of the new rules. Now, if you want this third emergency quarterback, you have to have him on the 53. You can't have him on the practice squad as an elevation. So with that, I believe they're going to have 3. I feel pretty confident about that. I didn't think prior to that rule, I did not think Tim Boyle was just locked to make the roster. A lot of people said locked to be QB2. I'm like, look at the contract. He's guaranteed $75,000, which, by the way, I would take in a briefcase right now, Howie Mandel. Case number 24. Thank you, Howie. Like, I'd take $75,000 right now. But, I mean, for a quarterback of the NFL, $75,000, that doesn't move the needle. That doesn't say, oh, he's locked in. I don't think so. I don't think anything locked in from that perspective. John, I've heard this one a lot. Let's throw this one out. Any chance of Jets trade for Mike Evans? I've heard it because the simple argument for it is, hey, Tampa Bay's got Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask battling for QB1, and Mike Evans is a win-now player right now. Wouldn't it make sense for a team that's actually a contender to swoop in? The Bucs have been talking some trash on social. What was that? Carlton Davis said, "Hey, NFL, watch out in the post-Tom Brady era, like we're coming." Okay, the NFC sucks, so maybe they're coming, but not coming very far. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the profile of guys that I want, of course, Mike Evans on the 1,000-yard streak, chasing Jerry Rice, which is really cool. He's dynamic. He's a red zone threat. He's monster sized. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to want Mike Evans. I just don't think Buccaneers are hitting the eject button. I would love to be surprised, though, John. It's a great cut. It's a great find. I would love to see it personally. But it sounds like Corey Davis is going to be here. We'll see. There's a lot of things, like training camp is in like 2 weeks, and there's a lot of things to be figured out. Quinnen Williams contract, Aaron Rodgers restructure, the Dalvin Cook possibility, the Quan possibility, the Corey Davis pay cut thing. Like, that's supposed to be happening here. The Jets are preparing for a pay cut there. And what if Corey Davis tells them to go kick rocks? It could get a little weird. Maybe Corey Davis doesn't show up for the first couple of days of camp. I don't know. But that'll be interesting. Okay. Let's keep looking through here. Send in your questions, everybody. Ronald, no offer that we know of. What do we mean heating up? There's momentum as the market's kind of settling here, so to speak. The teams that want to be in on Dalvin Cook are in on Dalvin Cook. The offers are hanging out there. According to Tom Pelissero, Dalvin Cook has multiple offers on the table. So as he's kind of sitting and stewing, I'm sure he's potentially waiting for a surprise injury because that could suddenly spark his market a little bit. So he's taking his time, and really there's no rush. I mean, us for fans, it feels like a rush. Like every week we're like, Dalvin Cook update. Where is the update? Like, we want one, but like there's nothing happening for the players right now. So there's no rush on their side. I know that could be frustrating for the fans. So in terms of heating up, according to Mike Florio, that, the momentum is moving in that direction. The Jets have expressed interest. And another interesting Mike Florio quote, and it's also in the article, the Jets are more interested than you think. I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but that's basically the quote. They're a lot more interested than anyone thinks because of the Breece Hall thing. So to me, I think that's pretty fascinating. That's another good point by Kuka on Jamin Sherwood. Now, year 2 post-Achilles injury. He had the Achilles injury, so that's an important nugget. So I do like him. Patrick Corrigan, emergency. We need a free safety. We are not okay. Well, Adrian Amos was actually one of the best free safeties to come out of college when he came out. And I know he's floated a little bit with the Packers, but he's solid. He's 10 picks in his career. He's okay. Tony Adams is the other one that I would imagine plays that role. I will also say, putting that aside for a second, Jeff Ulbrich says he thinks they're somewhat interchangeable. Like, he doesn't think the strong safety, free safety thing is as big of a deal as the fans are making it out. So keep that for what you're worth. But those are the two guys I would assume in the running, Tony Adams and Adrian Amos, in terms of if we're looking for a square peg, square hole here with a free safety. That's where I believe we're hanging out in that. I usually agree with Boy Green, but it seems like Paul would bring back Le'Veon if he could. I would not. Le'Veon is too much for a lot of different reasons, but I'm willing to bring a running back in. And I mentioned them in some order. If I had to rank them, Dalvin Cook number 1, Kareem Hunt number 2, Zeke number 3, and Leonard Fournette 4. That's where I'd be. Those are 4 guys I would take right now, any one of them. So, different strokes. William Justice here. They have to pay Quinnen. They 100% have to pay Quinnen. Maybe we'll have another update video at some point this week, but the latest update is Tom Pelissero said that you would expect it to get done by camp. It's going to be above Jeff Simmons' number, which is $23.5 million. He called it a storyline to watch. So here's the conflicting thing that we have to keep an eye out for. Zach Rosenblatt joined my show before the break, and he said that he doesn't expect Quinnen to hold out a training camp. That was his words. You could go listen back to that interview. Tom Pelissero didn't say that, but he kind of said it'll be interesting if they don't pay him by camp. But if he holds out, like he held out all the voluntary portion, which, okay, whatever. It's voluntary. You don't have to show up. We don't know what would have happened at mandatory minicamp, where he could have been fined upwards of $93,000 because the Jets canceled mandatory minicamp. So they kicked the story down the road, basically. That wasn't the sole reason, but that's a side benefit of that. And now, if he doesn't show up for training camp, you could find his ass. And then it could be Roscoe Diner, Darrell Revis thing. And you don't want that distraction, of course. So they have to pay Quinnen. And, I don't want to say I hate it from the fans. Like every time I do a video, so this is an update on Dalvin Cook, the headline of the video, right? People say, well, there should be an update on Quinnen Williams. Well, okay, if I was running the ship, I'd love to do that for you guys, fans. But, we have to wait and see what the Jets end up doing with that situation. Gator here does great stuff on the Jake Asman show. Kind of sad that a Devontae Parker could get 3 years, $33 million, and stud running back like Cook can't get half that. It is kind of a crazy world we're in. Rich Eisen has brought a lot of people on his show talking about. I'm a former running back, so I've got a special place in my heart for the running back position. It is weird. You mentioned all the receivers that got paid. I'm gonna butcher his name. Jacoby Myers had the 3 years, $33 million. Alan Lazard got $11 million a year. Juju got $11 million a year, and Dalvin can't get half that. We will see what the contract is. I ultimately think it could be one of two things. It can either be a 1-year deal with like 7 million base with like 2 or 3 million in incentives, or a multi-year deal, heavy guarantees year 1, year 2 is kind of half-seased. A team could get out of it if they want. That's kind of what I'm anticipating for Cook, but obviously we'll see what happens. AC, let Bam and MC do their thing. Let me ask you this, AC. The Jets did homework on Jahmyr Gibbs. They are investigating Dalvin Cook. If they believed in those guys, they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be doing this. It would be due diligence, bare surface level dive. And they are. They're diving deeper than that. So obviously, in my mind, they can read the room, and those would be upgrades to those guys. Let's keep going. Keep sending those questions in. Okay, let's go back to Patrick here on our Facebook page. Paul, great show. Do you feel Ulbrich and company will be able to stand up against tight ends better than last year? Still have nightmares of what Evan Ingram did to us. Yeah, that was kind of embarrassing, to be honest. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Anyone that attacks the Jets defense, if they're doing their jobs, they're attacking the second and middle third levels of the defense. And that's picking on CJ Mosley. That's picking on Quincy Williams. And I love Quincy Williams. And I love CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley had an all-pro year last year. Quincy Williams got paid, but Quincy Williams can be baited. Pump fake, he's like I compare him to a dog chasing cars in traffic, right? Like a car whizzes by and he's like, whoa, 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 and he like just chases like the thing that flashes in front of his face, like a raccoon in a shiny object. And you could fool him. Now, hopefully he gets better with that, but historically speaking, he could be tricked. A pump fake, he's just so over aggressive. He over pursues a lot of plays, and he could get got, so to speak. Screens, out and ups, those kind of things he's been gotten on in the past. So, in that same vein, the Jets defense is constructed where they allow you to nickel and dime them, but normally teams get so impatient that they want to go for the deep shot, and that's where they get in trouble. But if a team was willing to be patient, as the Jaguars were in that game for that instance, outside of that Quinnen Williams strip sack, they just nickel and dime the Jets, nickel and dimed them. And that's the key to beating the Jets, is attacking the second level of the defense and then the situational deep shot when you're singled up against a safety. Think about the Ravens game. Rashad Bateman, that LaMarcus Joyner play, they could get you. So in terms of the overall tight end thing, I'm interested to see what the plan is. Because one way or the other, what they say when you're facing tight ends is either you put a linebacker on him, but he's not fast enough. He's big, but he's not fast enough. If you put like a secondary member on him, he's too small and can kind of get bullied around. So there's no perfect, like Isaiah Simmons on the Cardinals, rover-like player that can kind of be this star player, that can kind of mismatch and cover those guys mano a mano. We had it a little while for Antonio Allen. I know he wasn't a superstar, but he was kind of the Jets' secret weapon of being able to go one-on-one with guys. So I'm interested to see what the plan is, because obviously think about the start to the season, obviously. You have week 1, the Bills, they've got Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. So they got a double bit of action there. You go to week 3, New England, Hunter Henry. They no longer have Jonnu Smith. They traded him, but Hunter Henry is a dude. Week 4, Travis Kelce. So you're going to get a lot of action. And the Cowboys always seem to find a Jason Witten out of nowhere. So we're going to get that tested early and often. I still get I'm still fearful, like Evan Ingram, like the bust from the Giants, like blowing us up on Thursday Night Football. It still gives me nightmares, Patrick. So I hear it still does for you too, but it still does for me. So again, do I think they'll be able to stand up against tight ends? Well, we're going to find out very early in the season. I'm still curious, though, on the roster, who is that mismatched chess piece that can go one-on-one? Sauce can do it occasionally, but you don't want to probably do that out of position. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Sauce Kelsey week 4. I would not be surprised by that. But on a greater sense, you're not putting Sauce on a tight end every play. So there's some figuring out to do there. I love the kicker question, Richard. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's why we do this show, quite frankly. Let me get a quick drink here as I ponder your kicking question. Also, guys, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe here on YouTube. We appreciate it. I actually feel pretty good about Greg the Leg. Legatron, if I will. You know, and maybe it's a little bit for the Jets kicking game. Historically, recently, post Nick Folk era has been really terrible. So, like, anything consistent is like the honeymoon. Like when Adam Gase got fired, like literally anyone would have been like, woo, he's better than that guy. So like Greg Charlotte, he's better than the last guys. Probably. But I do really feel good about it. He's got this great leg. He looked really good early and then kind of questioned. Well, actually, he looked bad early. We overreacted, and then he cleaned it up, and then he went back on a slump. So, like, overall, though, I feel pretty solid. And then just throwing the punting into it as well, because I don't know if there's a future punter question coming. I feel really good about Thomas Morstead, too. True veteran. Loved how he kind of sent the message to the locker room. Just because we have Aaron Rodgers doesn't mean we're going 17-0. Got to stay humble, go through your process. But I really like Thomas Morstead, a punter, too. So that'd be great. That'd be absolutely great. So I feel pretty good about that group. Good question, Richard. We don't get asked enough about special teams. Let's go to Kay here. Jets will be happy with Zach this year as he wins games in the preseason. Some people may think I'm joking here. I'm super excited. Hall of Fame game. We got 4 preseason games this year. I love the preseason. I love seeing the youngsters on the roster get an opportunity and get a chance. And this will be the Zach Wilson show. I don't think Aaron Rodgers playing a snap of the preseason, to be honest. And I don't care. I'm fine. Bubble wrap his ass ahead of the regular season as far as I'm concerned. But Zach Wilson will get a lot of opportunities. So let's see what he does with it. I mean, it's going to be his show. No pressure. There's no real spotlight being the backup behind Aaron Rodgers. But in the preseason, there's going to be a great thing. And it seems like he's handled everything as well as you could, being demoted and replaced by a Hall of Famer. And I think Zach said it himself. You know, if I did my job, Aaron wouldn't be here. He didn't say that directly, but basically. And he's right. So I'm really excited about what we'll see from Zach in the preseason. Let's go to Hyder here. What we have behind Brees Lightning, probabilities and possibilities. D Cook is no-brainer. Jets, Dragons, backfield in 23. RB1 Hall, RB2 Cook, RB3 MC, RB Izzy Brana Kandabra. Abracadabra, perhaps. Very nice. And Bam on the practice squad. Let's go. Yeah, again, I don't think there's a lock that Zonovan makes a team. I will say, though, if the Jets sign Cook, there's a chance Michael Carter could be the one that kind of gets shipped off because he's been a little weird with some of his media stuff. We'll see. I don't know if that means anything or nothing, but give Mims a chance. I'm sorry, Tony. I think Mims is getting cut or traded. I just, you could say Davis always hurt, but the freaking team loves him. They freaking love him. And I think the 5 are locked in, quite frankly. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Alan Lazard. You have Corey Davis. You have Mecole Hardman and Randall Cobb. I think all 5 of those dudes are making the roster. So we're talking about maybe one extra spot. Jason Brownlee, Cap, Xavier Gibson, maybe. And then Denzel Mims is in that conversation, but his lack of special teams probably eliminates him, I would think. So he's probably going to get traded, I would think. Let's see what else we got here. Jimmy, maybe we get more vet signings when the NFL announces Hard Knocks. I don't think there's a direct correlation. Again, I expect the Hard Knocks thing to come here pretty soon. We're recording this live on July 6th. But so it should be coming soon. But I don't think veterans like, ooh, I'm going to be on Hard Knocks. I don't think there's a correlation there. It's kind of the NFL's like dark period. So there's not like people aren't in the offices right now. They're kind of enjoying a vacation here before, they bat down the hatches for months. So I think that's part of the reason in terms of the lull of signings happening. But, surprises can happen at any point. Let's see. Sauce had the mood tweet. I'll have to see what you guys are talking about. Let me hop on over to the Twitter sphere and see. Yeah, because here's another interesting thing. So I tweeted out the Dalvin Cook stuff, and Brees Hall liked the tweet. So I wasn't sure what that mean. Yeah, like so we have this for people who missed it. This is my first time seeing it. Let's throw this up on the screen. We got Brees Hall with a little pen paper emoji, something like maybe a contract extension or something. Or I would say this. Here's my live reaction: taking notes. And I think the taking notes could be. I don't think it's just my tweet, but like I said, like whoa, they could sign Dalvin Cook, and I think he's going like, oh, by the way, I'm all for if Brees Hall is Brees Hall right at the beginning of the season, Adrian Peterson MVP stuff works for me. So it could be if I'm like kind of perceiving social media live, it could be, a contract signing of some sort. But I think more so likely it is him taking notes on people doubting him, because I doubt him. And I doubt it with the fact that I just don't know if he's going to be ready to go from the beginning of the season. I hope he proves me wrong. Let's go to the Sauce one. I have, let me see what the Sauce thing you guys are talking about. Let's see. Sauce Gardner. Let's look at Sauce. What mood thing do we have? Mood right now. And doing some dancing and okay, maybe there's something going on here. Although I think sometimes we overact to social media. We have like an excited video there from South. So maybe, thank you for bringing that to my attention, Zachary. Good work. Don't get God. That is great advice. My dad kind of told me something similar, like nothing good happens after like either midnight or 2 a.m. He told me that as I was growing up and, thinking about sneaking out of the house or, going to a college party or something like, hey, man, mind the P's and Q's. Zachary, do you want Q or Cook to get signed first? Well, of course, if we're getting both and it's just placement, it's Quinnen because you want to send the right message. It's going to look weird if you just sign Cook first and then Quinnen's like, so another guy gets paid, not me. That could ruffle some feathers. That could be perceived the wrong way. But again, maybe you can line all these up, right? Aaron Rodgers restructure, Quinnen extension, and then any veteran move you plan on making. So there may be a little PR political stuff to that, but obviously Quinnen is the guy, especially since the way you said it makes it seem like you're getting them all anyway. So I think, and as Dark Soldier says, every Jet fan will say Quinnen, obviously. Quinnen should get paid. And I get that there's an argument. I know there's some Jet fans. I don't know how many in this live show or people watching after the fact. I'm not sure how many of these folks are, but as I do my job as a New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, that fancy title means I write articles every day for the Jets. I wrote a Quinnen piece recently, like somewhere yesterday, maybe. Today it could have been. I don't know. Today was crazy with the doctor's appointment. But like people are saying, like, hey, Quinnen, like, shut up. This is not me. This is commenters saying this. Like, Quinnen, shut up and play. You got a year left under your deal, and the Jets have the franchise tag, so shut up. So there's some portion, maybe it's a small minority yelling this. There's a portion of the Jets fan base is telling Quinnen, like, hey, dude, you're under contract, so stop whining. To me, even though the Jets have the leverage position, Quinnen, they have him under contract for the 2023 season. They have the franchise tag minimum 2 years to use if they want. So they have team control over Quinnen for the next 3 years. Okay. I am admitting the Jets have team control here. Despite that, I still want Quinnen to get paid. He has earned it. He deserves it. Send a message to the team. You can also help your own cap situation because, like, when you're on these fifth-year options, it's basically like a mini franchise tag. He's owed like $9 million straight up. So, like, if you give him an extension, you can lower that cap hit for this year. You can manipulate the hell out of the cap. So while there are some fans saying that on Quinnen, shut up and play, you're under contract. Teams rarely honor contracts the other way. So, that has to be the full context of the conversation. I'm all for Quinnen getting paid. He should get paid. And I think it's going to pocket somewhere. He's going to be the number 2 highest paid defensive tackle in football. I can guarantee that. And it's going to be above Jeff, which is 23.5. It's not going to get to Aaron Donald. I think in the same way that the Deshaun Watson contract was perceived as an outlier in terms of the full guarantees, I think Aaron Donald's like, all right, that's Aaron Donald. But here's all of us. Aaron Donald, pile of crap, everybody else. That's how I think the world evaluates it. So Aaron Donald's making $31 million a year. We ain't getting there for Quinnen. But it could be a healthy 24, 25, 26 mil per year for 5-year deal. And biggest contract of Jets history in every major category. Like, I could totally see that. And I want him to get paid. He friggin' deserves it. Hawk. Dak will blow to the fourth quarter like he always does. Don't worry. I was at that last game, 2018, 2019, 2019, I believe it was. Sam Darnold, he came back. I got tickets for the Jets-Cowboys game, MetLife Stadium with my dad. It was amazing. We were in the 50 club for the Jets. We got all the food and grub and got great seats. And then Dak was coming back. I remember the 2-point conversion. Like, oh, that was a wild game, man. That was a lot of fun. And me and my dad are going to week 2 at Cowboys this time, and I can't wait. I've never been to Jerry's World. That's going to be such an unbelievable experience. Aaron Rodgers and all that jazz, but maybe he blows it. That could happen. I think that's a fun game. I think the Cowboy, I don't want to say overrated, but like I feel like the name value, America's Team Cowboy, like they get a lot more hubbub than sometimes substance. They got a talented team. Oops, sorry about that, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties here. Let me fix that for you real quick. Here we go. Sorry about that. As we get going here late on a night, we'll still answer a bunch of questions here. Just kind of got lost there for a second. Okay, all right, let's catch up on some of these. See, we just got a super chat in. Let me skip down that. That can skip the line, as the kids say. Let's go. We got Ron Weiss here. Paul, I want what you used on your face for my bald head. Thanks for the content. That's amazing, Ron, and thank you, everybody. Yes, I will say, I have had the ACL surgery injury, and I've been rehabbing and stuff. At the beginning of all the rehab, I'm like, let me just shave everything off. Shave, whoa. Head. I want to make that clear. Head. Shave the head, shave the beard, cleaned it all up. And now I'm like kind of regrowing it ahead of the season. So there's a few more white hairs in the beard since I hit the reset button. But when I have that formula, Ron, I will certainly send it your way, brother. Super Chat, by the way, is available for everybody. If you'd like to skip the line, feel free to do so. We'd appreciate it. Super Chat. Yeah, there it is. Hawk saying, here it is. Let's pull this up. Transferred over to the hidden bed cam. I see. That was funny. Yeah, I do have this. I don't want to say brand new camera. I've had it for a while, but yeah, there's another camera on the computer. Whoa, hey now. Scrambled Spice Channel. Yeah, it could get crazy. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, whatever that camera is, hiding someone somewhere. Yeah, there he goes. That was funny. When do you think he signs? Quinnen, I think it. So let's see. So it's July 6th now. Camp opens like 19th or something. Let's call it, and they report around that time. 17th, 18th. So we still have, 11, 12 days. But I think he does sign before camp. I do believe that wholeheartedly. I think that happens. Hawk. Let's go to him here. If the worst case scenario happens, we roll into the season with limited Brees, MC, Bam, and Izzy sharing snaps. I might still feel okay with that just because we have so many other weapons. Now, that's a fair point. That's a fair point because you have the tight end room, which is stacked. We have the wide receivers stacked. And maybe you could figure it out. But here's my thing, is that you have Aaron Rodgers, and of course, there's going to be a ton of throwing with Aaron Rodgers. By the way, as there should be, there's going to be a lot of throwing with Aaron Rodgers. But I think they do really want to run the ball, and not just like in the winter months. I think they really want to establish a ground game, force defensive coordinators to make some business decision, bring some guys down to the box, and then Aaron Rodgers could go even more crazy. So, again, there's a chance it can survive. I just, as a Madden player myself, I do franchise mode for all the Madden people out there. I always try, and maybe I'm a freak for this, on a week-to-week basis, I evaluate my roster and say, where can I get better? Like, I don't get complacent. Like, I could use a little more depth here. I don't try to overreact and the guy gets injured. I'm like, holy crap, we need to bring in the next superstar here. I try to prepare for those scenarios. So, like, I evaluate the team and go, man, this needs more depth. This needs more depth. Let's move this. Boop, 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 boop. And then when it happens, I'm like, oh, I was prepared for that. So that's kind of my take. But again, hey, different strokes, different strokes. I see all the people in here. This is beautiful. Oh, that would be fun to get a one-on-one with Salah. I saw, who was it? I'm gonna mess up the name because my brain is failing right now. Robert Salah. It seems to be super cool. He did a one-on-one with Josina Anderson. They had the crazy Elijah Moore clip in there about switching positions. He's done some with Joe, the longtime radio guy. He did the Salah thing there. He's done a few. He's been pretty open. I'd love to have him on the show, obviously. I've heard a few people bring this up, so it's good to address it. Brad Smith, longtime Jet favorite of mine. The Jets are not picking up Mason Crosby. Again, an injury could happen, and maybe that happens. Aaron Rodgers loves Mason Crosby, and he's still hanging out there, so you can't say no, but it's possible. Dark Soldier, I'll say it proudly. I'm still a Zach Truther. Okay. I still week 16 was painful last year. The Jaguars game was where I jumped off the bandwagon, but like I've kind of like hopped back on because I think we all want it. We all want it to be possible. We all want it to be happy. AC does not like what I'm saying. Every Jets fan likes a shiny object. Hate to disagree, Boy Green. Build the foundation, which would be great. Obviously, give Izzy a chance to show himself. Raccoon shiny object. I love you guys. You guys are great. Okay, let's go. Keep going those questions, everybody. We'll be on for a few more minutes here. A few more minutes. Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one. Who's that? Jake Asman. Yeah, maybe you could call in a few favorite sports and tricks to get Jake. I actually was going to have him on the show after the Revis Klecko stuff. We had something scheduled for over the weekend, but I had a late change with the July 4th stuff. So he was supposed to be on the channel over the weekend. We do have, let me see what I have booked. We do have, so next week, so what's today? Today's Thursday. I don't even know. I just know the days ended. Why? I have no idea what day it is. Next week, we have a big one scheduled with someone who's never been on the show before. A Jets personality, never been on the show before. Pretty big deal. Has a tremendous following. Give you a few nuggets. So that man will be joining us. He's never been on my video show before. He's been on my radio show, never been on my video show. So he will be there for that. So that's one. And I think there's one more that I'm not remembering that's supposed to be on. There's been a few players that have had to bail because of injuries or whatnot, injury situations, so they can't probably be asked about it. So I've had a few players that unfortunately were going to come on the show and haven't. Players that have never been on my channel before, so that's kind of unfortunate. So we've had a few of those kind of hanging out. So still more to come, although I'm always interested in the people you guys want to have on the channel. So feel free if there's certain guests and things. I did set up the itinerary for the season. So we have an expert coming on each week. So, you know, the Jets have the Bills week 1, the Cowboys week 2. So I've gotten a few new contacts. That's the thing I love about this business is networking and bringing on experts from the opponent. You guys seem to really dig that series. So I've got a few new names in the books for the season. I'm looking forward to that. We'll have the Buffalo show back. TBD on the front office view. We're waiting on some lingo to get figured out on that to bring that one back as well. I love that show with Randy on Thursday, so TBD on that as well. So we will have a ton of content, though. A ton of content. Yep, I just saw that one came up from. Oh wait, excuse me. Here it is from Randy. Yeah, Randy Mueller, the former NFL general manager. Yeah, we're you know, I don't know how else to address this. We took a little bit of a break because of the football lull, which totally makes sense, which is great. So we're still trying to figure some stuff out on that. Some contract lingo. We're trying to hammer out some of those details to lock that in. But that's a show I'm absolutely in love with. Randy is a friggin' gem. Obviously, with all his worldly NFL experience, I think we got great chemistry too, and the fans really love it. So I'm hoping we bring that one back. TBD. I think we're going to recheck on that one in August in the preseason, getting ready for the regular season. So fingers crossed on that. We should have new content though every day. I'm not sure if everyone will be a live stream, but we'll have content every day of the week. That is the goal for when the season gets here. This is a magical season, so we should be you know, getting as much content as possible for that. All right, let's go through a couple of last ones here. Johnny, let's go to you. What about Rucker and his dad? Get the inside of growing up a huge Jets fan and being drafted by the team. That's so cool. Connor Rogers actually just did an interview with, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher the name. Let me see. Let me get it because I don't want to mess it up. I've tweeted out a few clips from the Yep, we got weird camera back again. Oh boy, what seems to be happening? Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, this is the weird bedroom cam, as Hawk called it. Let's switch that. All right, there we go. Sorry about all the weird technical difficulties tonight. We'll only be on for a few more minutes, but Taylor Kyle, so that's who Connor Rogers was on, and he called Jeremy Rucker the best tight end on the team. I was kind of like, oh, is he? Okay, we'll see. We'll see how he gets opportunities on the field. We'll go rapid fire for these. I keep going to my weird camera land. Ragnar, I can't wait to see Hack in New York, number 8, work their magic with the O in these first few games. The insane media coverage that will plaster the sports landscape all week, every week. And Hard Knocks coming. I definitely see that for sure. All that's going to come. Yeah, I still want to hear that story, Kuka. That's on my list. Like Randy Mueller interviewed for the Jets general manager job. I want a full deep dive. I think we're going to dedicate like a full episode to that. I have to get my preparation ready for that. That I am so in. Oh, we did have Cynthia Freeland in the past. We got to get her back. I had her on 2-3 years ago. She was tremendous. I love Cynthia Freeland. So we will try to see if we could get her back. Yeah, set the mood. A little bit of that action. Yes. It's wild. You know what? We should probably just cut it there. Let's be honest. All right, everybody. Hopefully you could check out the article that this was all about. Again, the Jets gaining momentum to potentially signing Dalvin Cook, which would be fascinating. I know a lot of Jet fans have agreed and disagreed about it. That would be interesting. So full article down below. Feel free to check it out, whether you watch this live or after the fact. Like the video, hit subscribe, and we'll be back very soon. There's a lot of Jet things bubbling, baby, and we appreciate your support, and thanks for hanging out with us here late on a Thursday night. Take care.